Hello and welcome. I call the channel the Jungle Nook, and I'm in the process of getting my plants ready to get moved outside. And I need to get them protected from pests while they're out there. I'm going to be using two different products. I'll show them both and how I use them. One's an insecticide that you put into the soil that will kill insects not only in the soil, but the plant will absorb some of this and it will be right in the tissue to provide protection pretty much for the whole summer. I only do one application about a month before I move them outdoors, and then another one about a month before I bring it inside. But there's another product that I use, neem oil. And neem oil is not only an insecticide, but it's also a fungicide and a milicide. But it's an oil and you spray it on the foliage, and that's what I use to get all my leaves real nice and shiny. I love shiny foliage. If you watch my other videos and some of the plants really stand out because of how shiny they are, it's because I cleaned them up before the video. Yeah, I'll show both of those products and how I use them and give a little more information about them. But this video is actually a continuation of last week's video, where I went around and gave everything a all-purpose, slow-release fertilizer, a granular fertilizer. And I went around and put that into all my plants. And it's recommended that you work this stuff into the soil, at least the top 1 to 3 inches for it to be the most effective. But I really couldn't do that with my plants in the pots. So what I do, that's when I add fresh organics. I put some worm castings into a bunch of the smaller plants, or the plants where there were a lot of stems coming out. But in some of my larger pots, I actually mixed up my own top dressing of fresh organics. And I was able to mix up 3 times as much for $2 of the worm castings that cost me $20. And I got that in the other video. I'll put a box up in the corner at the end of the video if you want to check that out. There's another plant chore video. But I want to talk a little bit more about that fertilizer, the slow release fertilizer. I use Osmocote, and I was concerned because it says it feeds up to 6 months, and I was under the assumption that the nutrients got released the same way that a lot of other synthetic fertilizers get released. And that's by salt dissolving. A lot of fertilizers is mainly salt that has absorbed nutrients, and when you water it, it releases the nutrients. It's actually released by heat. The nutrients are released out of Osmocote by heat. And as far as how long it lasts, at 60 degrees, it will take up to 6 months for all the nutrients to be released. However, at 70 degrees or above, the nutrients will be released within 3 to 4 months. Now, if you use the product as directed, it doesn't matter if it's all used up in 3 months or 6 months, it won't burn your plants. Which, that leads me to something else that I wanted to mention, and that is that using a slow release fertilizer, and again, you want to use an all-purpose fertilizer, but a slow release fertilizer is not an all-in-one solution to providing the nutrients that you need. It's great because it's constantly releasing a little bit of nutrients, all the different nutrients that the plant needs, but you still need to provide additional supplemental fertilization, either through really good organics in the soil or a liquid fertilizer. And you should do that about once a month, especially in the spring, summer, and fall. But what I would recommend is using it at half strength and doing it twice a month. That slow release fertilizer is great because if you forget to fertilize, then you know it's still getting something. You're given the slow release fertilizer would be like us taking a vitamin. You wouldn't just take a vitamin and skip lunch and dinner, or skip breakfast or whatever because you took a vitamin. You still got to supplement the plants. A potted plant is not like a plant outside. Plants outside actually You know, there's a lot more organics not only in the soil sometimes, but sitting on top of the soil. And there's a lot more insects and things out there that are breaking this material down quicker. But there is some nutrients right in rain. And a lot of our tropical plants, it rains every day and they're getting this real mellow, fertilizing every time it rains. So this is the product that I use right here. The brand actually doesn't matter that much. What you're looking for is this word right here, systemic. When you see that, that means that this product gets absorbed right into the plant tissue. And this product here, it says that it lasts about 2 months, which is sufficient for me. I'm putting it in now. In a couple of weeks, I'll be moving this plant outside. In about 2 months from now, I'll give it another application. And then, within a month or two after that, I'm moving it back into the house. And this gives it quite a bit of protection while it's outside. And you just sprinkle it right on the soil. And then you just kind of water it in. And I'll do this to all of the plants that are going outside, and any plants that I notice I'm having an issue with insects in the house, I'll treat them too. And the other product that I use, that's neem oil. And how they get this is they take the seeds from the neem tree and they press them together and it releases the oil. And you want to really shake this product up really good. And again, this product also gets absorbed right into the plant tissue, and it's an oil. So it will also kill insects on contact, but that's because it's an oil, and what it does is it prevents them from being able to breathe. But when you spray it on the plant and it gets absorbed into the tissue, what happens is when the insect is trying to feed off of the plant, it does something to the insect so that they're no longer hungry and they actually starve. And when you use this, you don't want to just spray the plant and then leave it like that. You got to actually rub it right in. Otherwise, it will leave little spots. It's not going to look very nice. Plus, you don't want to do this outside in the sun because it can burn the plant. But you just want to wipe the entire leaf off. I really like the product because not only does it provide quite a bit of different types of protection for you, but it's easy to keep up on using this stuff because you'll see how shiny these leaves turn out. I really like it a lot. The product recommends that you don't use it more than once every 3 weeks because it is an oil and it could clog up the pores and prevent the plant from being able to breathe. But I find I only really need to use it about once every 2 or 3 months. But you really want to rub it in and cover the whole plant, wipe the entire plant off so that the entire leaf is shiny. Sometimes I'll do this, I'll let it dry, and I might come back with just a damp paper towel and hit a few spots that I happen to have missed. And I used to just use water to clean my leaves, but I have well water here with a lot of minerals in it, a lot of calcium and different things. And all my leaves got super dull. I mean, it was pretty bad. I had to wipe them down with bottled water, distilled water, to get that calcium off of the leaves. And then I started using this neem oil to clean the leaves. And really, I was using the neem oil because it's a natural product. It's not real harsh on the plant or anything. And I was using it for pest control and realized right away that it got my plants super shiny. Speaking of my well water, I have really hard well water. And the people that lived here before me, they had a little online business where they were selling baked goods. So they had to have the health department come in and test the water here that they were using. And they were telling me that the water here is really high in minerals and nutrients. It's a lot of iron, zinc, calcium, magnesium, all sorts of stuff in the water. And that's part of the reason why my plants also do as good as they do. Because every time I water them, they're getting a real little bit of nutrients as well. It's almost like I'm giving them rainwater, actually better than rainwater, because the water has to filter through the bedrock. We have limestone here, and it's picking up a lot of extra minerals and things. So the water's really good here. And when I do water changes on the fish tanks and stuff, I don't really do a lot of water changes, but when I do, I use that water to water my houseplants. That's really rare though. I don't really do water changes that much. Like I was saying, before videos, a lot of times I'll look for a plant or two that's a little dull. I got so many plants, I don't just go through and do every plant at one time. I'll do another one. Any leaves where I got a little bit of the oil that hasn't been wiped in yet, where it's just kind of laying. You'll see it, you'll notice it. If you don't wipe that in, when it dries, it will be noticeable. It will leave a little spot on there. And I'm getting both sides of the leaves too. And I'll definitely use a new paper towel when I go from one plant to the other as well. If there were insects on here, I would spray it, but then I would go around and I would just wipe those insects off and then get a fresh paper towel and go back over it and really polish the leaves. I really did clean off some dirt and dust off of the leaves as well, and I polished it up real nice. Cleaning the leaves, which is good for photosynthesis, protecting the leaves from a variety of different types of pests, or protecting the whole plant actually.